Hey there, hey, it's Michelle with Brilliant Quest, and today I want to talk to you about something. Did you know that whenever you decide that you want to do personal development, improvement, anything to elevate yourself or evolve yourself into a better you, it's going to have a cost associated with it? So today we're going to be talking about 7 hidden costs to improvement that you need to know about. And once I'm done with you here, you're going to be able to make sure that you can pay the cost, that you are prepared for the cost, and that you can make it work for you where you get a great return on your investment. All right, so this is the way we do it. We let you know up front, and then we go through each one of them. All right, so first and foremost, understand that the very idea of improvement has a cost associated with it. Unfortunately, we haven't figured this out yet, but there is nothing that comes for free. There is a sewing or rinking, an exchange, a value for an energy. You can't get around it. Okay, so just understand that improvement requires a cost. Okay, the next one, that's 1. 2, all knowledge and evolution has a cost. You can see this in gaming of how if you grind, even if you try to evolve, either you're going to pay for it or you're going to have earned experience points or just different little things. Number 3, all changes have a required reset. You can't just keep exponentially adding on to what you're already doing. Improvement requires that you reset your horizons. And so it is part of the cost of improving. And then number 5, now this one right here. Of course, I'll get into it a little bit more, but it's all notions and ideas of yourself must upgrade and transform because, and that requires a cost. A mental cost, okay? A psychic cost, if you will. Number 6, all triggers. All triggers require self-restraint and self-discipline because when you are improving, you will be triggered. There's really kind of no way around it. That is part of the journey, the pit stops, the side quest, and all of it of your road to improvement. And then number 7, all improvements run the risk of being a train wreck or a parade. Okay. And there is a cost associated with that. All right. So let's get into it. I'm not going to keep you long today because I want you to be able to make note of these and then put them into practice and go and be all about improving. All right. Because, here at Brilliant Quest, that's what we're about. We're about getting your mind keen and right so that you can have the brilliant quest that you desire and you architect. So the first one, that improvement in and of itself requires a cost. And when I talk about cost, don't just think of money. Money is the lowest level of cost that you can pay. It's actually the shortcut for cost. When I'm talking about, yes, it includes money, but it has your time, it has trial and effort, trial and error, and effort. It has an expenditure of experience that you have to gain. And all of that is costly. It's not where you're going to just, unlike money, just plop down, whatever the money amount is and get it. No. Improvement requires that you go through some things. It's not like you can go just buy a power up pack, plug it into the back of your neck like in the Matrix, and now I know Kung Fu. It's not like that. You got to actually go and learn Kung Fu. All right. So that is one of the biggest costs. And I don't know why it is that we get really excited because we're so busy looking at the after effects that we never pause to discover what the journey looks like. So don't get fooled by that when you see before and afters, because I'm telling you, before and afters are out here spanking up on people, making them regret the day they were born, because there is a big part when you're looking at before and after, and that's the journey in between. And nobody likes to be stuck in the journey in between, the middle part. Okay. So cost of improvement. Understand there is a big one. All right. So the next one is all knowledge and evolution has a cost. Now, I'm not a big gamer, but I love the concepts of games. I've studied how to construct them. I've even written some fiction about gaming. And I like it because it is an entertaining way to understand living, what it takes to live a human existence. And one of the things that they really get right about gaming is when you are powering or leveling up, there are, depending on how you want to set it up, they require you to get XP, experience points. They require you to get certain levels of skills, and just different little ways that you have to come at it to be able to qualify for a new level. And they'll tell you, you do not meet the requirements to make use of this skill, this loot, this tool, this weapon. And they'll tell you, you need this many experience points. You need this many whatevers you got to collect, or you need this much time in the game. What they're doing is they're expressing this right here, that you do not evolve, you do not gain knowledge without effort at this particular time. Like I said, we haven't discovered how to just upload and download stuff to you in the matrix. Now, sometimes, depending on how your prayer or meditations are going, you will get some downloads and some upgrades. But for the most part, the way things are done here, you got to grind it out. You got to do the work. All right. So that is a cost. And I'm telling you what these 7 costs are, because there are certain experiences, there are certain improvements that people would try to tell you that you absolutely need, that depending on where you are in your stage of life, you need to have more data and more information to truly do your due diligence to count up the cost to figure out if it's a now thing I need or do I need it later. And I'll pause right here and just tell you, I was going to tell you this a little later. But the reason why I'm doing this is because I see a lot of people online trying to learn how to make money online. And if you've noticed, I haven't talked about that yet, although that is something I do. That is something I'm very familiar with. And it is because there are prerequisites to understanding this. And it's not popular, what I'd like to say, but it's the truth. I have seen it where this is the equivalent of what's happening. You have a lot of people who are either jumping in and they're basically trying to put an inflatable blow up little boat on the ocean to compete with a ocean cruiser. And when the ocean cruiser says, well, you just do this, 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 and this, they are not telling what the little boat can do, how to handle the waves, the currents, the storms. They're just saying, see, this is what I'm doing. And the little boat is looking at the big cruise liner and is like, well, I'm gonna be like that. And they are blind to the fact you're a boat. You're not a ship. And I see that. Or I see where there are people who have had the evolution from the boat to the ship that are willing to, quote unquote, take you with them, but they only understand how to do it their way. And their way requires, if you're really going to get the most out of where they are in their journey, it requires that you not only have access to the equivalent of a Lamborghini, but that you are proficient in driving the Lamborghini. I see so many people go and buy these expensive trainings to improve themselves, and they are buying the equivalent of a Lamborghini when they really need to be buying or learning how to ride a tricycle first, or even a pogo stick, because their level of don't know how is at that. And then they get frustrated, upset, and think they're scammed because, yeah, you pay $5,000 to $10,000 for a Lamborghini level when you needed to go on YouTube, get the free stuff first. And I've talked about how I would encourage someone, if you're wanting to learn the skills, the pathways to do it. I believe at this particular time, use Google to find YouTube channels, then find ebooks. And the reason why I put the ebooks in front of the blogs is because a lot of the blogs are there to affiliate and to promote something. So they'll give you some pros and cons, but they do want you to purchase the product or whatever, or sign up for the service. So by doing the University of YouTube first, then getting some books that you paid a little bit of money for, by the time you come to the blogs, you will have trained your eye to see and be able to eat the fish and leave the bones, get the information. And yeah, if you feel like you can handle what they're touting, buy the service, but don't feel like this is how you do it, so I have to buy the service. It's a difference. And then after that, then you can move into the study courses and all of that. There are many ebooks that people sell, anywhere from $5 up to maybe even $100, that will do you just as well as if you go and you get into the big coaching programs. And don't come for me if you're a big coaching program. I'm simply trying to help people that will come to your coaching programs have better success rates, because I believe that you can help them. But there are prerequisites that have to happen. And that is why we're having this conversation about the true cost of what it takes to have improvement. And so understanding that there is a cost. You're not going to get something for nothing. Know that every evolution, every piece of knowledge is going to require for you to do like it does in gaming. You're going to have to grind it out, get your experience levels. You're going to have to become proficient before you can earn the right to truly operate a skill or a tool or a certain level to level up. And as I said before, all changes, getting into number 3, all changes require a reset. And what do you mean by reset, Michelle? I mean that when you go to a new level, you get a new devil, which means you got to totally reset your frame of thinking to be a new person to operate in this new level. You cannot bring crab in a barrel mentality to a banquet. It just don't work. You will get stomped. It's not a dog eat dog kind of situation. But too many times I see people trying to drag their old mentalities into a new arena and never successfully making the switch over. That's a cost, because you've got to unlearn habits that bode you well in the previous level. Now, I know this is good, and I know that a lot of people are not talking about this, and that's why. I'm telling you this. That's why Big Sis Michelle has got you, because there are costs to this thing. And yes, everyone should improve because that's part of the lived experience. But if you don't know the skin in the game, you got to have what it costs to do what you're trying to do, you're setting yourself up for failure after failure. And I don't want that for you, because this is a brilliant quest. This is not an ignorant descent. Okay. All right. So the third one, like I said, all changes have a reset. Reset your mind. Okay. Let's get into the fourth one. Interpersonal relationships. Yes. You have seen them where, okay, there used to be this show, I think on HBO, it was called Entourage. And there was this one guy who was, the one. And he had all these different friends and brother and agent and all these different things going on. And it was a show about how he dealt with his interpersonal relationships while trying to succeed and improve as an entertainer. And I watched a few of the episodes, and the ones I did, it was really insightful. I was like, yeah, this is a really good way of showcasing some of the things that you're going to have to expend time, money, brain power on. And I don't want you to fall into the trap of saying, oh, I want the sky is the limit. And you haven't considered what that's going to do to your interpersonal relationships. That's to even the constellation within your family. Have you ever had a success? And maybe you weren't, maybe you were the third of four kids, the middle child, and the oldest and the one above you, they didn't just come out and say it, but they felt a certain kind of way. And you were like, why can't you just be happy for me? Well, you mess with the family dynamic. You stop playing the role that everybody plays in their family. And folks don't realize that there is a reason why you need to be ready for what happens in your interpersonal relationships when you improve, when you quote unquote gain success. Your friendships might have to change. Your friendships will require a lot of work. Remember Entourage and what I was talking about with that? And so that is a cost that a lot of people are not able to pay. They are unaware, and it comes out of the blue and knocks them out. And they are like, some of them fall back down because the cost of not having harmony in those friendships is too much to bear, and it messes with them, and then they end up losing the improvement that they were trying to have. I know this is probably touching on some things that you've considered, but I definitely want you to make sure that anything you're trying to do, when you're trying to improve, if you're trying to improve your money situation, your reputation, if you're trying to do something that causes you to have spotlight, you've got to consider what that does to your family, your friends, your relatives. Think about it. Even if your family, relatives, and friends don't feel a certain way about you, how much are you going to expose them to unwanted exposure? Because now we're in an age where people just believe that you signed up for this if you become famous. Do you want your aunt to not be able to go to the grocery store? When you become famous, there are certain safeguards you're going to have to make sure that she's got a good, service of going to the grocery, make sure that you be like, okay, I'm sponsoring this, until things die down, because the impact on your interpersonal relationships is one of the ones that causes a lot of people to falter. That's what I'm saying. A lot of people to falter when they're trying to improve because they have not taken the time to consider the cost that must be paid, and paid not just by you. My mom used to have this saying when we were growing up, and I was one of the, oh Lord, I loved trying different stuff. I would sign up for stuff and my mom would be like, nope. And I'm like, but why? And she would happily tell me, she's like, look, your decisions and choices should not make anybody else have to suffer or sacrifice. No, I will not be taking you and driving you X, Y, and Z every other Saturday because you thought it would be fun to hang out. That kind of stuff. She'd be like, and you're going to learn to ask me. And so I think that might be one of the reasons why I became particularly interested in learning the impact on interpersonal relationships when someone improves or breaks the assigned script of how things work in these relationships. So it's something, but it is something that you really need to be aware of. All right. So that one was number 4, interpersonal relationships. Number 5, you are going to have to realize that your notion and idea of who you are, when you change, you are going to have to upgrade and evolve. And what that means, and upgrading and evolving, it is not a destination. It is a journey. It means that you're going to have more elements, more things working in the system. There is a reason why when you have certain amounts of responsibilities, you come with a team. And I was guilty of this. I wanted to do all this improving. And then when I realized, well, you're going to need a personal assistant, you're going to need a lawyer, you're going to a tax person, you're going to need all these things. I was like, but why? It's so expensive. Well, when you improve, these are the things that you must know, not just consider. You must know. Just letting you know here. Okay, so don't say Big Sis Michelle didn't tell you you want to blow up. But then you're going to leave yourself exposed because you can't do it all. You're in a new arena with totally new rules, and they don't hand you a manual saying, okay, welcome to the big time. So here's your manual. No, you don't get that. You got to pay for access. And that means you got to pay to have the skilled people about you. Okay. All right. So the next one is, and this one was learned, the hard way. And that is, all triggers require self-restraint and discipline. The higher you go, the more buzzards you encounter. And when you improve, you're going to find that you get triggered a lot. You get triggered on stuff you didn't even know. And it doesn't have to be someone else triggering you. A big one that people are not realizing now, if, for instance, you grew up with scarcity, and a lot of people, no matter if it's in the US where I am or other places, they have scarcity shock and trauma. If, for instance, you've ever had it where, and I'm not just talking about you didn't have enough food, like you didn't have food insecurity. No, I'm talking about maybe you were a latchkey kid. I'm dating myself here, where you had to take care of yourself until your parents got home because they both had to work. So you were on your own for up to 5 hours after school. Sometimes they weren't getting home till 8. So you had to get your snack, get, your homework done and all of this. So what happens when you get to the big time and you're triggered because you are needing someone there with you, and it's taking you back to your childhood where you did it because you wanted to be a big girl or a big boy, but it left a mark on you and you didn't even realize it. Now, I know that's really specific, but I did actually just make that one up. But those are some examples of scarcity, trauma, and shock. Scarcity of, am I going to have someone here with me when I need it? And you don't even know that's why you're acting cuckoo and about to lose all the improvements that you've made, all of the evolutions that you've gone because you regress down to your trauma. That's a cost. And you might say, well, Michelle, how do you pay that cost? Well, you get a good therapist. Or when you learn that there's something wrong, you do your work. Whether you do it with a therapist or you do it on your own or you go to a retreat or you do something, but you work on yourself. And that's the thing about improvement. Improvement is a can of worms that opens up stuff that you didn't even realize was there. That's why they say ignorance is bliss. Okay, so that's number 6. So the last one is number 7. And number 7 is all improvements run the risk of being either a train wreck or a parade. Now, I'm going to tell you, there are 2 things that people are guaranteed to stop and watch, and that's a train wreck or a parade. And when you are trying to improve or on the pathway to improving, there is a high probability and risk that you're going to fall on your face, that you're going to fail maybe once, twice, or thrice before you get it right. And you're going to be a train wreck. And people are going to gawk. But when you do, and if you never fall on your face, great. But when you make it, you become a parade. And guess what people are going to do? They're going to stop and gawk, and they're going to watch you. And one of the costs that you're going to have to realize is people are going to put their eyes on you. There are a lot of folk that, and I've seen this, and it's the craziest thing. I have seen people with egos that are big enough to fill an arena. But then when they finally get what they've been craving, the attention, the focus on them, they falter. They can't handle it. They don't want anyone looking at them. So they freak out and they lose it. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is what you wanted, right? So they're not aware of the impact of having a lot of attention. When you're successful, when you're doing something, especially something that has improved yourself above the masses or something that the masses admire about people, you're going to find out that you're going to get a lot of attention, whether it's wanted or unwanted. And that scrutiny, oh my gosh, that scrutiny is something. Having attention requires that there is a price you pay for privacy. There's a price you pay for people assuming that your time is theirs. There's a price you pay for the impact of what it does to you, whether you appreciate it or not. There is going to be impact. And so that's another cost that you're going to have to consider. So guess what? I am just amazed that we went through all of this, and I did not ask you to give me some engagement. They tell me that I'm not asking you guys to engage with me enough. So I'm going to ask you at this time to press the notification bell so that you can get notified whenever I release. And at this particular time, I'm doing daily musings and insights for you. So, you can do that. Like, subscribe, and share. And please check the description. In the description, if you would like to have one-on-ones with me, there is a link in there where you can go and do that and set up a time for us to talk one-on-one. And I do them through Zoom. And if you don't want to show your face, you don't have to. If you do, that's fine. And I have different times, anywhere from 30 minutes to up to 2 hours. So don't forget to check the description. And if you just say, hey, I like what you're doing and I want to contribute, there are multiple different ways to contribute to the channel. So I thank you so much. Don't forget to watch the next video to continue on your brilliant quest. And this has been Michelle, your big sis with Brilliant Quest. I'm going to see you sooner than later. Bye.